What up, YouTube? Now, before the video starts, hit it.
What you gonna do? What you gonna do? What you gonna do? What you gonna do? This is just for Asta.
Now then, as you can see, this is the beginning part of what if Asta had the black light virus. And you're probably wondering, how is this supposed to work? Well, at the moment, 3 mages, one with steel magic, one with fire magic, and one with lightning magic, or more or less some very illegal scientists that are doing some very illegal things. A part of one of their experiments to gain more power so that no one can mess with them, they accidentally create an anomaly. It doesn't have magic, but it's oddly alive. A black type of ooze with red pulsating lights on it. They divide it up into 3 vials, thinking they could use it on a test subject and then inject themselves with it, injecting 2 of them and then extending it to the 3rd, while killing their test subject afterwards. As they go looking for a perfect test subject, they see a boy fighting a man who seems to be drunk, that appeared to have taken a pendant from a young boy with black hair. They see that the young boy with the very light hair that seems grayish doesn't seem to be able to use magic. As they try to focus on sensing it, they sense nothing, not a speck of magic. Smirking, they think that this kid is perfect for a test subject. If it works on him, it could work on us without problem. After everything is done, the boys leave with the pendant that they tried to get back. The men follow them discreetly, seeing where they're going, Hod's village, at a church. They smirked even more, thinking he's a magicless orphan, as they just grin in joy, thinking none of the nobles or royals that are in the Magic Knights would really give a damn if we take him. To them, he's basically nothing. As they go and wait for the next morning, Asta comes out and goes for training, where these mages ambush him. The steel mage uses a spell to bind him, and they take him away to a cave that has a shack in it where they've been hiding out to do their experiments without anybody interfering. As they get ready, they take one of the vials they have with the blacklight virus, that they modified the vial with an injection function, stabbing Asta in the chest as he writhes in pain and thrashes around, with the blacklight virus pouring into him. One of his eyes starts to glow red as he passes out. One of the mages begins to check his heartbeat, seeing that it's strong. He smirks, telling the others that it worked. If he survived it, we should have no problem. So suddenly, a blacklight virus they thrashed around, that they poured into Asta, thrashed around, attacking them, going straight for the other vials of the blacklight virus that they separated from it, taking back its 2 other pieces. As they begin to attack to kill the boy and take the virus reacted as a response to defend its host, devouring the mages, their bodies, grimoires, and all. As Asta woke up, he was surprised to see that the men were gone, and the straps that were holding him down looked as though that they just burst. He tried to get up, but when he did, he found himself lighter, he noticed that he was stronger and faster. He began to walk around, trying to figure out what's been going on. As he does, he comes across three wolves that are staring him down as food. The alpha jumps forward to bite Asta. He gets him in the arm as Asta screams in pain. But suddenly the wolf begins to calm down, and when Asta yells stop, the wolf releases him and backs away to sit down. Asta looks at his arm and notices that the wound closing up instantly. The other wolves begin to charge to attack Asta, but the one that Asta infected just full on attacked them, also infecting them, becoming subservient to the Alpha, who is subservient to Asta now. As they go and merge into the Alpha's body, Asta freaks out a little bit, but is grateful to the wolf for protecting him, as it just goes up towards him, licking him on the face, very affectionately. But Asta saying, okay, so first you attack me to eat me and now we're buddies? You're pretty weird. Which is when his stomach just growls. He gets up, putting his hand against his tree, thinking he's really hungry, as the virus reacts to his desires, breaking down the tree and devouring it into his body. Him freaking out, thinking, okay, I'm less hungry, but was that really me eating an entire tree in like a couple seconds? As he just tries to calm down and try to figure out what's going on. He he knows some words he never heard before. Biomass, devouring, as subservient. He doesn't know these, he's never known these words or heard them before, but he knows them now. He tries to focus and notices memories that don't belong to him and knowledge he never knew before. He became smarter. Tried to remember what happened and saw what those guys saw. That that stuff they injected him last out to protect him, devoured them all. He tried to focus on himself inside of him more, noticing three cores. One that held each of their magic, a core that was formed from both themselves as well as their grimoires. He swallowed, just nervous about what was going to happen to him, as the wolf just kind of looked at him whimpering and worried to his new master. Asta pet his new dog, saying, I hoped it, well, maybe you can give me a lift back home. When he said this, biomass from the tree he just ate began to pour into the wolf, as he sees it getting bigger and bigger, as well as sprouting two new heads from the other wolves that the alpha took into its body. He's pretty amazed by that, but really excited. As the wolf kneeled down for us to hop on, he jumped on, with it running to the closest village that it could find, while still staying in the tree line to protect themselves from being seen by the people in the village. As they see the village, Asta recognizes it. It's a bit far from Hodge, but not as far as he thought. As he gets off the wolf and thinks about it, he asks the wolf, hey, are you going to be coming with me? As the wolf's new three heads begin to lick him, as he's figuring that's a yes. With him stating that, well, if you're coming with me, then you should probably have a name. As he thinks and thinks, he remembers an old story that he heard about. A story of a three-headed dog called Cerberus. So he looks at the three-headed wolf and says, how about Cerberus? With the dog three heads rubbing against him in acceptance, without saying, Well, I guess Cerberus it is then, huh? He asked Cerberus to shrink down and pull the two extra heads back into his body. He complied, and the added biomass to him went back to Asta when he petted him. With Asta surprised by this, he hopped back onto Cerberus and begins to ride, thinking that maybe this could be really useful. He has three magic cores. He asks Cerberus to stop for a moment, and when he does, he focuses, taking one of the magic cores, the steel magic core, and using it to put it into Cerberus, asking him to show him what he can do. He sees that Cerberus turns his body into steel, or at least the surface of it into steel. He asks, "What else can you do?" Well, Cerberus uses his black light virus to create a more or less a magic or black light virus armor, then uses the steel magic to reinforce it with it. Pretty excited about this. He asks Cerberus to power down as they go around looking for any other animals to do it with, as he thinks that maybe I should use it myself. He goes and tries it, but when he attempts it, it rejected him. He sighs, thinking, well, I guess if I wasn't born with magic to begin with, of course, even if I get this magic core, I'm not going, it's not going to work. As he just realized he just said something he doesn't know about, realizing that it's probably those guys' memories of making it. He sighs as he looks around, surprised to see a little ledge looking over to see a big snake, a python. When he believes that this could be a good animal to use, as he creates a ball of the black light virus and tosses it over to the snake, hitting its body. It begins to infect the snake as it begins to thrash around, but then stops and slithers over to Asta, bowing its head. As Asta pets its head, he thinks about what type of core to give it and chooses the fire core, placing it into its body. And now the snake is able to not only breathe fire and coat itself in fire, but it's also able to shoot fireballs and such. Asta then asked, well, if we had more snakes, I wonder what kind of thing could happen. Then he heard a voice saying, there are more snakes nearby similar to me. Would would you like for them to become your servants as well? Asta just surprised looking at him and realizing that this thing just talked to me in my head, and then heard another voice, of course, master. I and looking back, seeing the wolf, realizing that he's doing the same thing, asking, why haven't you talked yet? With him just stating, you haven't asked me a question, you just gave me orders. With him just saying, fair point. Then he looks back to the snake and asks, if there are more snakes, can you infect them and do something similar to Cerberus here? When the snake asked what he meant, Cerberus showed off his additional heads and such, which the snake was okay with. There was about 9 other snakes like him that was nearby. He, he asked how exactly does he want him to do it. Asta gave him more biomass to grow his body. With this increase in size, he easily infected the others, absorbing them into his body again. The back half of his snake body was just a single snake tail. However, the front half began to split into multiple snake heads with that large body, essentially making a Orochi, which is, as it sounds, a multi-headed serpent with one tail but a lot of heads and necks and such. As the snake bowed to its new master, Asta patted its head again, taking back the biomass, as the snake took this as a sign to retract the other heads. As they began to leave, the snake coiled around Asta while they rode Cerberus, as Asta began to think of a name for his new snake friend. Ham began to think more and more, and end up going with the name that he could only think of. So he came up with a bunch of names, thinking Fang, which the snake just looked at him funny. Asked Venom, he just again looked at him funny. He sighed and just said, "How about Sever?" Which the snake was okay with. It sounded pretty cool to him, so he was okay with it. So we have the snake Sever now. As they go further and further, the Cerberus then stops and begins to sniff around. With Asta asking what's going on, the Cerberus tells him telepathically that he smells blood. When they go looking, they find a Taito owl. Once they see him, they see that he's gravely injured. Apparently, he got into a three-way fight with a falcon and a hawk, infecting him with the black light virus, trying to heal him like he remembered his body healed itself. He finds that the owl was very grateful, and just realizing that he just gave the virus to another animal without thinking, but just wanting to help heal it. So he takes him up on his shoulder and gives him the lightning magic core. Asking what happened, the owl mentioned that he got into a three-way fight with a falcon and an eagle. Asta found that pretty interesting and said that he can use his new power to infect them and take them into his body, that their abilities might prove useful to him. So the owl did just that, using the lightning to shock the falcon and the eagle, the falcon and the hawk slightly to get them off guard and slightly paralyze them. He then hurried and infected them with the black light virus, taking them into his body. Once he flew down back to Asta, he asked for him to use them in a way that he deems would be good to use with his magic and such, giving him a large amount of biomass and realizing that he's using way too much. Realizing that, he begins to devour multiple trees as the owl then begins to change its shape with the features added on from the falcon and the hawk, giving it two additional pair of wings with a, I guess you call it like a golden feather kind of look or whatever you want to call that, combined with the lightning magic, more or less makes a thunderbird. If you've seen magical beasts and where to find them, you know what I'm talking about. With Asta looking at him, he's just excited to see something this amazing. But then realizes that where is he going to put all of these guys? Which is when the snake mentioned that he doesn't have to worry going into Asta's body. With Asta saying, okay, that Feels kind of odd, but huh, yeah, I guess that could work. As then the Cerberus then enters his body to rest, as he now has to come up with a name for this owl, slash hawk, and a falcon. He thinks for a while and thinks of the lightning magic that he uses, and figures that strike would be appropriate when the owl asks why strike. Asta replies with, because of the lightning magic, lightning strike. The owl's pretty okay with it, so now he's called Strike. Merging into Asta's body, he then thinks of something, that if they can pull out the qualities of of the others that they took into their body, why couldn't he? Pulling, forming the wings of the owl, and then adding biomass to it to increase its size. He's able to fly all the way back to Hod's village, landing in the place that they couldn't see him, retracting the wings that he just grew. Smirking, he heads off back to the church where they've been worried about him, saying that, where have you been? With Asta scratching the back of his head, saying, oh, I kind of passed out and I just lost track of time. I'm sorry. With the others in them say, real smooth, with Asta telling them telepathically, well, I can't tell them I got some kind of weird power that isn't magic. How can I? The intelligent boost from those guys that he ended up eating unconsciously, or that the Black Light virus did in order to protect its host, more or less did give him an intelligent boost. Though he figures that with this kind of power, he could become an excellent magic knight. Later on, as the years go by, he starts training with it, learning all the kind of things he could do, not just the whip, but even using part of the virus to detach it so it could spread out and pull everything around it towards the main ball of mass that he sought out, learning all kinds of things, as well as uh, using, even extending a large snake tail and making it grow with the biomass to use as a weapon, fully controllable by him, and all kinds of other tricks. Being able to heal himself instantly, he finds it incredible. Did see him do this one time, and he decided to tell him, explaining what's going on with him. Was scared for Asta, but throughout this whole time when he went missing and came back, he hasn't really changed. Asta's still Asta. Though everyone did find it kind of weird that his left eye was red now. But they figured that maybe some kind of accident happened or something got in his eye that made it this way. So they're just pass it off, especially considering that their Hodge village is right on the border of the neutral zone that's chock filled with strong magic region with all kinds of crazy stuff in it. So from there, Austin and train. He trains using his enhanced strength and speed, and finds out that he can literally run up a sheer straight up cliff, basically embedding his feet partially to climb up it without issue. Finding out all kinds of things about him, even finding the more blunt fist of the Black Light virus to hit people with, along with some other tricks like his full body armor and such. His serpent and his owl friend also try out their armor mode, finding it very useful, especially in their transformed mode for the Orochi and the thunderbird mode. the partner along with the armored Cerberus mode. And this continues all the way to the beginning of the anime. So we'll be stopping it here. Hope you enjoyed. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And hope to see you later. Bye.